Hello and welcome to another edition of the Panthers Tracks podcast. I'm your host, Ellis Williams, once again joined by me, myself, and I. I talked to y'all yesterday, and we're going at it again today. I'm going to try to crank these out as frequent as possible. There's a lot going on with the Panthers. This is an incredibly interesting time to be a Panthers fan. I said it yesterday. You know, you got the first and third overall picks from the 2018 draft here in Spartanburg competing for the starting job. And unsurprising to nobody, that's exactly what we're going to get into today. I want to expand, though, on the offensive line later, talk a little bit about the D-line. But we're always going to focus on these quarterbacks. That's what y'all want to hear. That's where all the development is. And I thought that we learned something new today about where this competition is headed. So let's get right into it. Again, appreciate y'all for listening. Some of the feedback has been appreciated and understood, and we're going to keep working every day to make this a better and consumable product for everybody who's listening or watching. And that's where we're going to get things started at. So let's start with some notable news. Today, Matt Rule made it pretty clear that this quarterback competition is not going to be solved anytime soon. You know, welcome to the unknown world of the Carolina Panthers quarterback. It's a situation that is extremely unique in this league. There's some quarterback competitions going on across the NFL. You know, maybe you think of Atlanta. There ain't one in Tennessee, but Malik Willis is there. You think of Pittsburgh. That's been fascinating to follow. Kenny Pickett could be a third stringer. Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky both ahead of them right now. You know, just following what we do on Twitter this time of year. There's so much going on, y'all. And then you got what's happening in Carolina. And today we saw Baker Mayfield take first team reps after Sam Darnold did so on day one. We're recording this late night. I got CSL Charlotte Sports Live to do later. It's been a long day. They're all going to be long days. This pod probably won't be as long as the first pod. You know, it's funny. Yesterday I was like, yeah, I need to, keep talking. I was like, you got to fill this time. And then before you know it, you got a 30-minute podcast. And I mean, maybe that's the perfect amount. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But there's a part of doing this that needs to be tight, right? And that's how I think the rest of this camp is going to be for the Panthers. It's going to get tighter. It's going to get more concise. They're going to start trimming some of the fat off. Matt Rule said today that they're ready to distribute these reps still evenly, but both Baker and Sam Darnold will work exclusively with the ones. Yeah, and all of this is fluid. All of this is flexible, but it seems like the onboarding process has been completed. The goal of the Panthers was to allow Baker to have some time to transition into this, ease him in, while Sam, like I said yesterday, picks up where he left off. And Baker had a better day. The near picks need to stop. I don't know if those will in time. What will change in time is Baker's ability to complete passes downfield and be aggressive. That happened today in a inside run segment where he, had a play fake, booted right. He's real effective on the perimeter when it's available to him. And he hit DJ Moore on a deep, what Madden players will know is a corner strike. And DJ, had his man beat, extended it a little bit, and got both feet in bounds and made a heck of a catch. Play of the day, if you ask me. And he had a couple of nice plays with DJ today. He had a deep post to DJ. He had a couple touchdowns to DJ, one on a spot route where Baker fit a ball in a really tight window. Could have been picked, but it's a touchdown. And I don't mean that could have been picked as in it was a bad throw. That's where the ball needed to be. I'm out here trying to dodge my mic. I still got the Drip Bayless mic, and I realized that listeners of this podcast have no idea what I'm talking about. I have a black microphone in front of me that is not plugged into my laptop because I don't have the right cord. But it looks all right. And shout out Drip Bayless, inspired the decor in my podcast lab out here in Spartanburg. I digress. Baker Mayfield was sharp today after getting those two miscommunicated throws out of his system. There was a back shoulder ball that Robbie Anderson just kept running on that Baker thought he would stop on. Who knows whose fault it is? That isn't really the point. It's just an error. It's an offensive error. And Dante Jackson almost picked it. And those are the type of things that you can expect early. Again, Matt Rule said, I can't, after practice, he said, I can't evaluate Baker Mayfield after 2 practices. So now we're going to see both these guys work with the ones. And I think this competition will very slowly start to figure itself out. I don't think this team's in any rush to name a starter, pick a starter. They have reason to favor Baker or want Baker to win. But again, I don't think there's anyone on the coaching staff who's rooting one way or the other. They're just going to make an honest assessment and play the quarterback who's executing the offense the best, but also, taking hold and command of that quarterback room and really the team. Scott Fitterer said it when he talked on Tuesday, actually that would have been his virtual presser the last time we got him, but he wants a quarterback who comes in, commands the room, grabs it, has complete control of everything. You just know when you have the right guy. And Matt Rule has said that too. And it's going to take time for that to manifest here for the Panthers. But today we learned that this team's in no rush. It's going to be a while. And Baker Mayfield, when working with the first team, as makes sense, is going to give his playmakers a chance to do exactly that. Switching gears to some other notable news. Carlos Dunlap today, free agent edge rusher, signed with the Kansas City Chiefs, a 1-year deal worth $8 million. The Panthers and Dunlap had been circling each other for a while. Carlos was in Charlotte about in June, a little more than a month ago, on a 2-day visit. He left without a contract. The both parties stayed involved, but a deal never materialized. And now you see Carlos Dunlap head to Kansas City. I asked Matt Rule today, in light of that signing, or is there any concern that the market's getting thin? And politically, he said Scott will handle that, and that's the truth. But he's not worried. The team isn't worried about that position yet. They're not in a panic mode. There's no urgency to go out and get someone necessarily. They are comfortable letting, Etor figure this out, Marquise figure this out. Of course, what you got in Brian Burns. They're going to let these edge rushers grow into their role. And it's hard to tell until they, put these pads on, which will happen Monday. Again, it's only day 2. It's only practice 2, right? So they're going to wait until they really know what they have. Injuries happen. Transactions happen. 49ers cut D Ford today. I would think that's a logical name to watch, even though I don't know if he is necessarily still got it. And, I'm probably not ready to make that assessment. To go all in on something, I like to watch the tape, get a thorough understanding of where a player's at. What have they done for me lately, right? I would watch his last 4 games and see what he looks like. Figure out his injury history, make a couple calls, figure out what D4 still has before I say something like that. But just initially, you wonder if that's the right guy. Jason Pierre-Paul still out there. You're probably getting a bit of the same there. These are vets. These are old guys. I thought Carlos Dunlap made a lot of sense, but there's also $8 million in a Super Bowl contender who wanted his services as well. So you understand why Dunlap made that decision. Money talks, but I don't think the Panthers were going to go near that number. I think they would have went near. They would have thought about it, but you combine the money with the opportunity, and you see how Dunlap lands where he does. So there's still options out there for Carolina, but like Matt Rule said today, I don't think there's any rush. This team is in a spot with its defensive line where it still has some question marks, but offensively, they really don't have any. On the offensive line, they really don't have any. Of course, the group of 5 that they land on need to put it together and show chemistry and prove they can be a unit. I thought Matt Rule said something really interesting today about I'm paraphrasing, but he said that they know are going to have a bunch of talented guys make the team, but sorting out who the starting 5 is going to be will be up to these players to, quote, compete it out. And I like that because that's the truth. They're going to have to compete this out and see what their best combination is. And unlike quarterback, I think you can be a little more fluid with the offensive line. I understand the fear of, 14 combinations in 17 weeks or whatever the ridiculous number was a year ago. But that's because of injury. That was because of, poor performance. I don't see this offensive line necessarily performing poorly, and that's why they would need to make a switch. They're gonna just play around with this until they have it completely optimized. Injuries happen. This might sort itself out before anyone really has to make a decision. Knock on wood. No one hopes or forecasts that on any NFL player, but that's just the reality of this league. So Panthers probably have like 7, maybe 8 pretty good offensive linemen. 1 or 2 things happen. This might take care of itself. If it turns into the cornerback room all of a sudden, this might sort itself out. So to wrap that up before I transition to cornerbacks, that would have been a great transition, and I'd have been Mike Greenberg with this. But the offensive line, the left tackle situation, Ikem Ekwonu is working mostly at left tackle. Brady Christensen, is getting those first team reps, but I saw plenty of times where he slides over to guard, and then Ikem comes in and takes those first team tackle reps, and then he's back out and they rotate. You saw the same thing today with Bradley Bozeman and Pat Elflein at center. Bradley's getting those first team reps with Pat's in there pretty quickly. Michael Jordan is even getting some first team reps at guard. That right side seems pretty locked down with Austin Corbett and Taylor Moton. We expected that. But center on over to the left on some Beyonce. It is going to be fun to keep following and seeing how it develops. They've got a plethora of options. It makes the most sense to play Ikem Ekwonu, your number 6 overall pick there. But I don't think it's a panic if he doesn't play there. Like this can be fluid. It doesn't have to be, but it can be, because you need your quarterback to be someone who you pick, go with, ride with, and only would replace if it was abysmal play or injury. You saw what the 49ers did with the Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance situation. They just came out and said straight out, yo, this is Trey Lance's team. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Jimmy knows what's up. This is Trey's show now. Okay. On the offensive line, it's not it's not that serious, right? Like they can monkey with this as long as they want to. And if it goes into the season, it goes into the season. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm off base with that. I'm a anyone who knows me knows I have no experience up front on the offensive line. My stature would never have allowed it. If you're watching this video, you understand my stature would never have allowed it. But from what I just understand about the game, I don't think there's a huge urgency to just nail down these 5 guys and start that same group for 17 straight games. It's about getting the best group eventually, sooner rather than later. Yes, but if someone ain't ready, someone ain't ready, and they can eventually become that quarterback. Once they pick a guy, they got to ride that out. I just think that it's healthy to differentiate those two positions, even though there are, I think, some similarities going on with when you're talking about left tackle and quarterback, considering the new faces the Panthers have put in those spots. Talking about cornerbacks real quick, it's a room that had a sea of depth and now all of a sudden looks thin. It was one of their most experienced positions. All of a sudden, you have J.C. Horn moving to the active PUP list, physically unable to perform due to that right foot soreness he reported after the conditioning test. And then Rashawn Melvin retires, 32-year-old, 10-year vet. I asked Matt Rule today if he expects the team to sign anybody, and he does. They're going to work out some guys on Friday, and I would be surprised if a signing doesn't happen shortly after that. I doubt it's someone that they would see as even in there too deep. I'm not sure on that, but essentially this would be a signing about depth, and they have to. I said this yesterday, but it's a long, sweaty, high rep camp, especially for those cornerbacks, man. We haven't even seen one-on-one yet. Oh man, wait till we see some one-on-ones, man. I want to see Robbie go at somebody. I mean, obviously everyone wants to see DJ, but DJ's gonna cook. I want to see what Terrace has. I've seen Rashad Higgins before. CJ Saunders. And anyone who saw my tweet, I know it says CJ Sanders. First of all, I don't give a rip. Not because I don't care about accuracy, because that's just an autocorrect error. Where you can only be so perfect on Twitter. CJ, man, that boy's cold. That boy's got some releases. He clearly is trusted. He's getting some first team reps working with DJ and Robbie. That young man's gonna keep getting opportunities to make some plays. It's gonna be fun to watch him in one-on-ones. The cornerbacks are gonna have a tough task. CJ Henderson looked good today. He mirrored DJ Moore on a deep post route that really had no chance of being completed because CJ was there step for step, stride for stride. It's one of the best receivers in football. And the former number 9. I'm gonna be real chill. I always forget, like, between Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, and C.J. Henderson, I think they all were like pick 7, 8, or 9, and I don't know. I can never remember which one was what. But they're all Panthers now, right? So for C.J. Henderson, a player picked in the top 10, same year as Derek Brown, there's a lot of optimism there from this team. I understand why fans would be optimistic. I was impressed with what I saw today. We'll see. But especially if this J.C. Horn injury lingers, it's going to be a lot of pressure on C.J. Henderson to maybe become a de facto number 1. He was drafted to do it. I mean, Jacksonville drafted him at either 7, 8, or 9. I'm not going to pound on my keys and start Googling stuff. Keep the bid going, right? Jacksonville selected CJ to replace Jalen Ramsey. It was the draft months after they traded Jalen to the Rams that offseason. So, unless the Jags just have an abysmal draft department, which I would argue they don't because they all have signed or been traded elsewhere since, from Malik Jackson to Jalen Ramsey, minus Blake Bortles. There's going to be some draft heads not liking any of this, and I respect that. Y'all are probably right. But no, I just I couldn't see, right? That's a key in life, though. Pick your battles, homie. CJ was selected with those expectations, and he might be forced back into them here in Carolina if this JC Horn injury lingers. We'll see. But I would expect someone to be signed here soon, as early as perhaps when you're listening to this podcast. Perhaps Carolina already signed someone by the time you listen to this podcast. Couple notes. Like I said, Panthers will be in pads on Monday. They've been practicing in helmets and shorts, or if you're Baker Mayfield, pants. Baker wore shorts today, just because I know that's such a big topic of discussion. What's Baker doing? What Baker Mayfield's doing? I underestimated how many Browns followers would slide back through and want to see what's going on with Baker Mayfield. I don't know why I thought they'd be over it, but they're not. And it's from every direction. You got people rooting for Baker. You got people hoping he fails. It's incredible. Browns fans are one of a kind. I'm starting to get to know you Panther fans a little better. It's been all love. I appreciate it. Hope we're doing all right out here. One little fun note on practice. Wide receiver Robbie Anderson and Dante got into it. Had a little heated exchange after a goal line fade that Baker Mayfield threw up to Robbie. It felt incomplete. I mean, gosh, I've watched Baker do this for 2 years straight with Odell Beckham Jr., man. I don't think Baker has thrown a touchdown in the red zone outside the hashes. I don't have the data in front of me. I just haven't seen it yet. So when that ball sailed out of bounds, I wasn't surprised. And then Dante had some words for Robbie. Robbie had some words for Dante. Dante kept going. The defensive back sideline kind of starts inching towards the pylon. Robbie takes his helmet off. There's more bars being said. Baker kind of rushes over, pulls Robbie aside. Robbie still got some words. Dante gets back to his sideline while they're all celebrating. And you could have whipped out the turnover chain, even though there was no turnover and the Panthers don't have any chains. But it felt like that type of moment. And I'm not even gonna lie, man. I was hyped. That stuff's fun. That's what football's about. That's definitely what fall camp's about. Give me that energy. Give me the enthusiasm. Give me the hunger, the dog, and the reason they're out there. It's a bunch of alphas trying to prove that they that do. So Dante brought it today. Robbie always gonna bring it. It's up to Baker to find a way to get Robbie the ball there, man. I don't know. You're never gonna be that open on a goal line fade. I digress. I'm not one of these people that hate the goal line fade. I wouldn't call it, but if you're gonna throw it, give them a chance. I say I don't hate it, and then say I wouldn't call it. Maybe I do hate it. It's just fun about this. It's therapy. We're just talking. We're just figuring this all out in real time, just like real life. So tomorrow, what to expect tomorrow. Again, I'm not sure when you're gonna be listening to this, but this was day 2. We're going into day 3. Sounds like, as I started this podcast talking about Baker and Sam, are going to continue to split reps evenly. Poor Matt Corral, poor PJ Walker, each only with 2 or 3 reps each today, in each session, I should say. So, they got 6 throws total. That must be frustrating for a young man in Matt Corral. PJ Walker playing for practice squad reps at this point, or just, trying to put some good game film on tape so that he can be employed elsewhere. And that's going to continue. This team needs to figure out who their quarterback is, and that's going to be the storyline for the foreseeable future. And we'll keep chatting about it as long as y'all enjoy this space, enjoy the updates. Let me say something about Sam real quick. let me, like someone gonna stop me. Ha 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 ha. Sam continues to check the ball down, continues to make the right decisions. I thought he threw some really nice scheme balls today. He hit Derek Wright on a little wheel route out of the slot, undrafted free agent, 83, I believe, number 83. Hit him on a little wheel route on the up the left sideline, schemed up real nice. Sam looked off the high safety, held him for a second, and delivered that right into Derek's right hip. I think he opened up to it, swung open, really nice ball. Sam had another similar wheel to Steven Sullivan, I believe. Could have been Colin Thompson too. One of the tight ends. Just great placement. It's good to see Sam being, I don't want to say advanced in the scheme, but just knowing when you have your shot plays like that, when to take it, not looking underneath, not looking low, keeping your eyes high, working high to low, taking it when it's obviously there. I mean, like blatantly there. Those are going to win him big points in Ben McAdoo's review room. When they all sit down, he's going to tell Sam, you went where the play was designed and pick the matchup that was favorable. That's what any offensive coordinator wants, especially this time of year, because the freelance to make plays isn't available, and neither of these quarterbacks are good at that. It's not their strength. You don't want to see Baker Mayfield running around trying to beat Kyler Murray, because he isn't. No one is. And he ain't Patrick Mahomes. But Baker does try to extend, and we've seen what happens when Sam tries to extend. These guys that lead the NFL in interceptions since they entered the league. The Panthers have the two quarterbacks who have thrown the most interceptions in football since 2018. They're both in the 50s, it's mid-50s. I want to say Sam has a slight lead over Baker, but I'm not sure. But Baker has a 2-1 lead on him in touchdowns, and that's the difference. You can live with Baker's turnovers, because on some Brett Favre stuff, he puts the ball in the end zone enough. Well, define enough, right? But he puts the ball in the end zone more than Sam Darnold has. I'll say this about Sam. Heard an interesting defense of him today. Someone thought that he shouldn't have been playing right away as a rookie. Then his second year, and it jogged memory, right? He caught mono, missed like 5 or 6 weeks, had that atrocious game against New England when he was seeing ghosts. I mean, these are pillars in your career he's a 21-year-old. Yeah, he'd have been like 22 probably. Yeah, I bet he was 22 when he's seeing ghosts, recovering from mono. I think Robbie Anderson missed some games that year. Year 3, Robbie leaves. Robbie heads to Carolina, has a career year. So Sam's throwing to, trying to think of some fantasy receivers from the Jets. We've never drafted them. I mean, not since Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, or now Elijah Moore. Am I right? So, and then he comes to Carolina and has an offensive coordinator who ends up being replaced mid-season at the bye week. And now he's in his new system. So I don't know. I thought that was a concise. I don't do anything concise except type, and that's only because you have to. But I thought that was a concise way to frame Robbie's career. Is it excuse making, perhaps? But I thought it was fair. I'd say a lot of the same stuff about Baker Mayfield too. I don't know, and that's why you have 2 displaced quarterbacks now in Carolina. I think I've been talking for a bit. I always forget to start a timer before I do this, because it's just fun to open up and get to chatting. I went to New Way Bar today for a late lunch. Anyone Spartanburg or Panther fans may know what I'm talking about. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. I don't know. Just like a straight up dive bar that had some really good burgers. Recommended on Twitter. So shout out dude who recommended that. I appreciate it. Charlotte Sports Live later. It's gonna be fun. tune in to our buddies over there on Queen City News. There's some real ones. And it's been fun, man. I hope if you're listening, you're able to get to Spartanburg. Say what's up if you see me. I know I'm new to all this. New to all this meaning I'm new to Carolina Panthers camp in Spartanburg, but this is fun. It's a heck of a opportunity and privilege to bring Carolina Panthers coverage to anybody who's willing to listen and read. I don't take it for granted in the slightest. So thank you as always. I'll try not to end every podcast being all Minnesota nice, but it truly does mean a lot. And we're only at day 2. We're going to be doing this for a long time. We got a ways to go. And if I sound tired, it's because I am. But I'm gonna have a double shot of coffee here soon. Double shot, like, we're pouring the vodka already, and we'll go on air. I'm just playing. We're gonna get some espresso with me. We're gonna get that caffeine going, and we're gonna keep covering these Panthers. So until next time, I'm Ellis Williams, signing off of Panthers Tracks. Thanks for listening, y'all, and take care.